I welcomed it with open arms. I thought we played really hard. I think this was the game where we played the hardest, the most consistent. And so for them to run over and give me a hug was great. I want them to enjoy every moment of this.
Kim, what was different about this game down the stretch compared to some of the other games earlier in the season that slipped away?
Yeah, we had poise down the stretch. I think we played with confidence. I think we played to win as opposed to afraid to lose. And again, I think the crowd had a lot to do with it. We had a good week of practice. We had a really good week. It did not translate to our Missouri game, but we had a really good week. I thought we turned a quarter. I do think we were getting better. And so it was good to hopefully get over the hump, beat a top opponent.
Hi, this question is for all of you. What did you guys do in the locker room to celebrate after the win?
Look at her. That's what we did.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
We got her and we got Coach Geno.
Yeah.
It was Coach Geno's scout.
And Jewel a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Jewel, why was it important for you guys to run over and celebrate with the LVFLs?
Once again, we just knew how important this game was for them. They set the stage, and we just really wanted to make them proud, honestly, just by playing hard. And that's what we're about with this team. So to see them smiling and taking the time out of the day to come support us, that was the least we could have done.
I was going to ask the same. I saw the updo, Kim, and you didn't have that earlier in the game. So how nice was it to have this celebration?
I didn't care
did they
for it.
surprise you?
No, they did not surprise me. I did not care for it. It was definitely overkill. It wasn't cups of water. It was bottles of water. And I surrendered.
Hey, Kim, anybody was around Pat knows how much rebounding the basketball meant to her program. You guys killed them on the boards tonight. How fitting was that?
We've talked about that at length every game. And I thought we just really played hard on the rebounds. And of all of the other games we had where we lost, if we would have won the rebounding battle, we win the game.
Samara, I understand that Alexis Hornbuckle talked to y'all before the game. She was one of the teams that beat UConn at UConn before Pat ended the
Kim, the broadcast said Talasia was sick with the flu and didn't practice yesterday. How close was she to 100% tonight? And then what did she give you even though she was struggling on the offense?
Yeah, I don't think she still felt great. She did a really good job of fighting through adversity at the beginning of the game. She didn't see some shots go in. She still got teammates opened. She made some mistakes that were frustrating, and she still stepped up big for us at the end.
Kim, Z really took over down the stretch in the fourth quarter. What do you think led to so much success for her at the end of the game?
I think there was a different version of Z coming into this game. She was locked in. She was focused. I think this game really meant something to her, and she had 2 good days leading up to it.
For Samara and Jewel, once you guys took that lead in the third quarter, you didn't give it back. And you guys went on a 13-0 run, which I feel like is the biggest run that you guys have gone on against a ranked opponent. It was almost like you guys smelled the blood in the water, and you didn't let it go. How big was that for you guys to make that switch, to be able to take that lead, to hold it and finish out this game? And just what kind of statement do you feel like you made?
Well, I'll say we've had our fair share of getting leads and losing them like we did in the Florida State game, and we knew that UConn was capable of coming back and hitting shots, but our defense is what really helped us. I felt like we got them out of what they're normally used to and a little bit frantic, and they weren't hitting shots that they normally would hit. So I just feel like for us to be as focused as we were, I think that was a big help.
And I also think we didn't want to have any regrets. We talked about that, and there's been a couple games that we've lost by 1 or 2 possessions. So I think we honed in on the little skills, just on boxing out, not fouling, to get us the win.
Kind of on that same note on defense, you guys really took Paige out of rhythm. She didn't quite get to her shots till the end of the fourth there. What was just your goal heading into the game of making things difficult for her, knowing that she can score at any point?
I mean, everybody knows she's a great player. We never really focus on just one specific player, especially at this time in the year. We know there are a lot of great players on different teams. It's just more so about containing, and we knew coming into this game that she had the possibility to get hot and to lead their team to a win, and so we didn't want that to happen. So we just did everything that we could, pressured her as much as we could, got her out of rhythm, got her out of what she normally does, and it helped.
Another strong game rebounding. How important, Coach, was that for it to come down to this after having so many struggles in these big games with rebounding?
Yeah, we wanted to out-rebound them by 10. We thought that was the margin we needed to have to be in the game. We did not shoot the ball great, so we had a lot of opportunities to go get those rebounds. I think they turned it on at the end and went and got way too many second-chance opportunities down the stretch, which was concerning. So there's still room to grow.
Coach, what is it about Samara that really allowed her to spark the offense in that 13-0 run she had 9 of the points and then those 3 back-to-back baskets?
Yeah, she played poised, she played under control, she played with confidence, but the most important thing that she did for us tonight is she really pushed pace. She got in the paint and she didn't force anything up. She sometimes dribbled it in a circle and kicked it back out, but that's really where we want to start our offense from. And so hopefully we can build on that moving forward.
Coach, I know it's a regular season game, and you got a big SEC game on Monday, but sometimes to have success, it helps to see success. How big is that for your team as you close out SEC play in this month?
Yeah, I think we're getting better. I think we, like Jules said, had a lot of games that, they still stick with me. The one-possession games against top 10 opponents, and we really needed to beat a top 10 opponent. I think that we could do that. I think we deserve that. I think we practiced hard enough to do that. We just were making too many mistakes. And we talked at length about these top teams. You can't make those mistakes, and I do think we lessened those.
For any of you guys, UConn hadn't been in a close game for forever. They've been killing people. As you guys got the lead and kept the lead in the third and fourth quarter, could you sort of see it in their eyes? Uh-oh. We hadn't been in this kind of position in a long time.
I was talking about it actually before the game with Coach Jenna. They played Notre Dame and they played USC, and those were 2 games that they lost, and those were 2 games where, they didn't really have the lead that much in the game. So just being able to say, hey, we think of ourselves as top dogs, and we think of ourselves being able to compete with those kind of teams, so we need to come in here and play like that, and I feel like we did tonight.
Joel and Samara, you guys have both mentioned about how much this meant to you and for Kim to do this in her debut season, but it's just her and Pat now that have beat UConn. How impressive is it that she did that? Did that lead to maybe the heightened celebrations after the game?
Very impressive.
Yeah, and I'll say this, I didn't do it. They did it. And they just made up their minds that they wanted to do it. And I didn't score 1 point. I didn't get 1 stop. And they locked in and they wanted it and they played incredibly hard. And that's something that we've talked about is you need to be tired. You need to be playing hard. And they can be excited for me, but I'm more excited for them.
I know you just said it was about the players, but you talk about those losses sticking with you. To see this team finally get over that hump, especially on the last play when Z got that layup, Coop had to really fight to keep that possession alive, got a great drive. They were poised in that moment. Just what were the emotions for you seeing this team finally turn the page and not have another heartbreaking loss?
I think relief. I think I've seen us do this. We practice it in practice. We did it early in the year. Our Iowa game wasn't really it was not a blowout. It was a close game until the end, and the Florida State game was a close game. And so it's almost like we kind of just lost our confidence. And it was just a sigh of relief to say, okay, we've done this before. We do this in practice. We can do this on the floor.
Go next, Emily, and then Casey.
Coach, I saw you walk off with Coach Geno. Was there a message that she gave you after the game? I know you guys are pretty close.
I have no idea if she even said anything to me.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even know that happened until you told me that. You're losing the money. I was trying to get out of there.
Coach, what do you think that Pat would say if she was here? And then what do you think she'd be most proud of about this team right now?
I think she'd be thrilled with the effort and the rebounding, and I am sure she is up in heaven with my dad. They're probably having a cold one celebrating.
Hey.
Then he said, cut her off. Hey, thank you guys that got the baby gift. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
For both KK and Paige, it's a heck of a series, and I've often said it really is not a rivalry if UConn's winning all of them. Just how big was this game, and then what kind of did Tennessee do at the end there to just sort of hold y'all off until the final seconds?
Yeah, I think it's always a big game when UConn Tennessee plays, regardless of era, time, where it is. So it's always a big game. And I think, they attacked us really well. They went at us one-on-one and challenged us defensively. And I think that's what cost us the game.
Paige, they really took you out of rhythm there for the first 3 quarters. What were they doing the most to you that you felt like was the most challenging to get around until the fourth quarter?
Nothing really. I feel like it was more myself, taking myself out of rhythm. Shots were short. Should have attacked more, got to the free throw line a little bit. Yeah.
You guys got out-rebounded pretty handily in that third quarter. Just what did they do that made it so difficult for you guys on the boards especially?
They crashed the boards really hard and we didn't box out like we're supposed to, not pushing them back, and they were flying everywhere, not really watching where they went. So yeah, just not boxing out very well.
Paige, I know this is your 5th year. Are you thinking of going pro next year after this season ends?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Hi. What's the difference playing in Tennessee over all the other rival places for any of you guys?
I think it's a hostile environment, like here, Notre Dame, South Carolina. Just a very loud crowd, very engaged crowd, and they make it hard to play in.
Paige, what do you just take from this loss? I know you guys have a quick couple of Big East games before you go back into your non-conference play against South Carolina.
Just how much tougher we have to get, and it shows up in rebounds and on defense, and the differentiation and fouls, free throws attempted. So just how much tougher we have to get.
I know you said earlier this week that you felt like Kim was a hire that was going to stick. Just what are kind of your impressions of her in her first season, especially after going up against her tonight?
Well, watching them, obviously they have a style of play that's a little bit different than what you normally see, and I think anytime you can be different, I think that sets you apart. People have to prepare for you a little bit differently than they do for everybody else. It's unusual for somebody to, sub, 5 players, 4 players at a time, and I think it takes some getting used to, and the way the game is, you have to keep your composure against them, and I think she does a great job of forcing you to adapt to them, and except for a 3-minute or 2-minute stretch there in the third quarter, I thought we handled it great. The pressure wasn't an issue, but that's the beauty of playing like that, is you just need a couple minute spurt and it can change the game. So certainly it's much more difficult to play down here than it was the last 3 or 4 years. And to win in these environments, you've got to have you got to have tough, mature players to be able to handle this.
You said earlier this week that you like having these non-conference games in the middle of your conference season to kind of see how your team kind of compares to other teams outside of your conference. What did you just learn about your team today despite the loss?
I think we've talked a lot about, you know, the perception that when we play a really good team on the road, you know, you need contributions from your best players, and it's hard if you don't get that. I thought Sarah and KK were great today. You know, KK learned a lot today. She grew up a lot today. You know, this is Sarah's first environment in a non-conference game like this. You know, she's only a freshman. I thought Aubrey gave us, you know, some great minutes. So I think we found some things that we can build on. The rebounding we knew was going to be a problem. You know, we play with our small lineup so often. So we got to fix that. That's been an ongoing thing all year because it was pretty even at halftime. Yeah, but the bottom line is, you know, we have some players on our team that are supposed to be our best players, and they got to play better. That's all there is to it.
Paige has had trouble getting going, it seems like, in a few of these bigger games now. I mean, just what do you feel like is kind of the block with her in terms of being able to start as hot as she has in Big East play?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's a real kind of conundrum, you know. Paige wants the ball in her hands all the time. Then when they trap her, she don't want the ball in her hands. So now we try to get her moving from, you know, one thing to another, moving without the ball, and you know, it's so. So we've got to come to some sort of definitive thing here, how we're going to handle it. But right now, it's not the winning edge for sure. And passing up stuff, you know, like I don't get it. I really don't.
Coach, this is a really good shooting team, and the 5 of 20 from the arc is surprising from UConn because you shoot so well. Was that misfires by you, Tennessee's defense, a mixture of both? What was going on at the arc?
Some of them were probably ill-advised, you know, or rushed. You know, I thought, like Aubrey's pass to Sarah, that was theoretically a 3-point shot, which I don't know why she even took it, but it ended up being a pass to Sarah for a layup. So some were really ill-advised. I thought most of them, we had pretty good looks at all of them, and we just didn't make them. And we normally do, like you said. You know, when you look at the stat sheet, points from turnovers, 24-19 UConn. Points in the paint, 42-42. Second chance points, 12-11. Fast break points, 26 for UConn, 14 for Tennessee. Bench points, 26 for UConn, 20 for Tennessee. You'd think we won the game, huh? But that's not really, you know, indicative. Stat sheets lie a lot to a lot of people because there was big plays that had to be made, big stops that we had to get, a big bucket that we have to make, and crucial points of the game, and we didn't make them. And you know, when two good teams are playing, that's the difference maker.
Going back to KK, this is only her second time playing in this kind of environment, including Notre Dame. Just what's impressed you the most about her ability to stay poised and to stay kind of just to jump in when you guys need her off the bench with that energy?
Yeah, it's a little bit comforting, I guess, to know that you're bringing someone off the bench that started 30 games or something like that last year and started in a Final Four game. And so it's not just your average bringing somebody off the bench. And so I think she's a starter that just happens to wait before she gets on the court. And she's getting a better feel for herself, what she wants to do. Yeah, there were a couple things she did today that make you scratch your head, but I thought she was the most competitive player for UConn today. And I think that means a lot to her. And I think getting more comfortable making perimeter jump shots, I think will help a lot for her. But I like what I saw out of her tonight.
Geno, you know as well as anybody what these two teams in this series has meant to women's college basketball. Is there something to be said for a team sort of taking its responsibility, making it a rivalry again? And does this maybe add some fire back into a rivalry? I mean, I'm old enough to remember when you guys played twice in a year.
Yeah. It ended up being 3 times, a lot of times. Yeah, that's why I don't understand why people booed me when I walked in, man. They should be thanking me for bringing my team back down here after it was missing for so long. God, that's how you treat your friends. I don't know what you do. I do think there was a time when this game meant a lot to a lot of people. The game of women's basketball looked forward to this game. People who weren't women's basketball fans looked forward to this game. The players certainly looked forward to this game. And it took on a life of its own. And like anything else, other people have caught up. There's other big name teams. There's other big name rivalries, as it should be. And I think both UConn and Tennessee kind of laid the groundwork for what's happening today. And so there are more big games. There are more big rivalries. There are more big TV games. And, can this still be one of them? I don't see why not. I would think that, those people that enjoy watching good basketball are going to, if all the games are like this with a different ending, I think people will really enjoy watching these games.
Coach, what would you say is the difference in play styles you saw from Tennessee tonight versus Tennessee teams in the past that you've seen?
It's just different. It's a different approach. They're a much more. I think they're in great physical conditioning. I think they play hard. I think being able to sub in and out like that, and that's probably because I'm not sure that there's a big gap. Is there a big gap between like number 2 and 3 and number 8 and 9? So as they mix and match and put people out there, that's different. That's different, and it hasn't been like that. I think we've played them now. This is the 5th time or something since we started back up. So it wasn't like that the other 4 times, for sure. They create a lot more problems for other teams now than they did a few years ago, for sure.
Coach, is one of the old timers around here. Obviously, it's a different series without one of the biggest figures looming over it anymore. When you walk into this building, do you think of some of those past games, some of those past matchups with Pat Summitt? Just what is your reaction to walking into this arena now?
Once the boos stop, you mean? No, I've always enjoyed kind of coming down here. I still remember the very first time that we came down here. I think Tennessee had like a 69-game home winning streak or something, and we won, and it meant a lot. It meant a lot to win a game because we weren't UConn basketball yet. We had just won a national championship, and we had just played them in January, March, and then December. 3 times in less than 12 months. That doesn't usually happen, So I remember the first one for sure. I remember a couple when you looked out on the floor and there was, 5 or 6 or 7 future Hall of Famers out there playing. It just had a lot to it. And I know that the players looked forward to it. The intensity of the games is what I remember. The intensity of the games. It was way different than any other game that you played. It felt like, every time we played, it felt like a national championship game. And every time we played them, it's like 1 versus 2, 2 versus 3. It's an NCAA tournament game. It's a national championship game. Like every game meant something. So that's probably unique in itself. That doesn't happen anymore.
Quick follow-up. Kim Caldwell was in high school with these games that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
you remind me of that, huh? Yeah.
And she was talking about how they all talked about it in school, and it was to talk, everybody,
Yeah.
guys, girls,
Yeah.
everybody want to talk about the game. This was her first, time to coach in it, which, if you don't mind sharing, y'all spoke before the game.
Yeah.
What kind of did y'all say there?
I really first met her at the Barclays event that we had in New York, and then been watching. I think stepping into a situation like this, stepping into this program when you're a young coach that's never coached Division I, can't be the easiest thing in the world. And I just wanted to remind her that watching from afar, I can see the difference, and I can see the impact that she's had. And I just wanted to let her know that I noticed that. And she should have stayed home to care for her baby.